In this lesson, we're going to have a look at adding a new photorealistic asset to our scene from Quixel Megascans. One of the biggest issues right now is he's taking a sip from nothing. So let's see if we can find a good coffee cup asset. We're going to have a look at a different marketplace this time, and it's called Quixel Megascans, and you can access it through Bridge directly in Unreal Engine 5. So what you need to do is to go up here, quickly add to project, Quixel Bridge. Now this is going to open Bridge, maybe on another screen, maybe right here. Quixel Bridge is a collection of photoscanned real-world assets. They're 3D assets, surfaces, decals, a bunch of other things. Now the first time you open it up, it's a good idea to check out the collections. These are scenes that artists have made. You can go in and check out the renders for the scenes, but also all the assets used in creating this scene. And all of these are free for you to download and use in Unreal Engine. But let's go back to home. The first thing we're going to need to do is to actually sign in. So up the top right here, you can click on your profile and you can click sign in. Now, you can sign in with your Epic Games account that you use to download Unreal Engine, or with any of these other options. If you don't have an account somehow, you can sign up down here. So, I'm going to sign in with Epic Games. Okay, and now that I'm logged in, we can search for our assets and download them directly into the engine. So, I'm looking for a coffee cup for our character to hold. So I'm going to search cup. And here, I've found a bunch of cups. I really like this beige one, so I'm going to select that. And over here, I get another window pop up. So it gives us a preview. It shows us the size of the asset compared to a human, which is very handy when you're dealing with things like rocks, which are hard to figure out. It tells us the asset is closed. Now, some of the other assets, like the big rock piles you find, will have no bottom. They're just made for being stuck inside the ground with the face down. And this is where you can see that information. It also tells you related assets, and you can click on any of these tags to browse to them. So if I like restaurants, I can click over here and I get a bunch of other assets that would be suitable for a restaurant. Down the bottom here, we have some different options. So in Unreal Engine at the moment, you've only got low, medium, high, and sometimes you'll have nanite. So for now, let's stick to medium quality because our cup is going to be quite small in frame and we don't really need a higher quality. So after doing that, we're going to click download over here. And it's going to download the cup, download the textures, and then import them in and create everything we need to get this working. So after it's finished downloading, we just click add, and it'll add that straight to our scene. On the right, you can see it's added right here. It's taken our content browser right there. And you can also see that it's now in my local files here. So I can add it to any scenes in the future without having to download it again. So I'm going to move this back onto my other screen. I'm going to drag the coffee cup into the scene. I'm just going to leave it on the bench here for now. Okay, now I'm going to click back onto the sequencer tab, and I'm going to add the coffee cup up here because it's selected, it appears first. I want the coffee cup to be in his hand. So how do I go about this? Well, we're going to need to use something called an attached track. Now, you might be tempted to use what we saw before with the picture frames and drag and attach them like this in the outliner. But this is not a good idea when using sequencer. It will cause issues down the line. This attachment is good if you're doing something that helps you with the editor, but if you want something that's going to be there in your render, then I suggest you create attached tracks inside sequencer. They're a little bit trickier to get your head around, but they will make sure you don't run into any issues come render time. So because we're attaching the cup to the mannequin, we click the coffee cup plus track and attach from there. So attach, and you can go new binding, and you see everything in the scene. So we don't want to do that. You can go this sequence, and we just see the things we've already brought in. We can now click on the sitting mannequin. And because the mannequin is a skeletal mesh, all of his bones come up. So we can choose to attach to a certain bone in his body, or none at all. Now in this case, we do want it to attach to his hand because that's what is moving. So we're going to search hand, and then we get hand underscore L underscore R, and we get IK. What we're looking for is hand underscore R, his right hand. So I'm going to click that, and all of a sudden, the coffee cup disappears. If we activate the viewport by right-clicking and we press F, we find the coffee cup out in the middle of nowhere. Now this doesn't make much sense when you initially see this. If you look over here on the right, you can see the location values. It's saying it's 516 centimeters in X that way, blah, 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 blah. But if we scroll to outside the attachment track range, effectively removing the attachment, these values over here don't change, but our coffee cup does jump back. So why is that? Well, these values on the right are actually relative location. So when we don't have an attachment track, these values are relative to world 0, so like the center of the level. But when we attach it to the hand, all of a sudden they're relative to the hand, which itself is farther away from the level. So we get this double up. So we can see, instead of being 516 units from the center of the level, it becomes 516 units from the mannequin's hand, which is all the way up here. So the best way to go about fixing this is to simply go over to here to where your location settings are and click this reset arrow. And what this is going to do is going to reset all these arrows to 0. You can also go in there and manually do that. So now when we do that, our coffee cup snaps to our character's hand. His hand bone isn't really in the spot that we would call a hand. It's actually on his wrist. So what I'm going to do from here is position the coffee cup inside of his grip. You see I've got these weird axes which aren't really relating to the coffee cup, they're relating to our world. And that's because, again, up here, we're set to the world transform. So we just click that, and now they relate to the coffee cup and they'll be easier to position. So I just want to move this over, down, here, and in. Now this doesn't have to be perfect. We're just getting it roughly in place for now. Okay, and now when he lifts up the cup, when he lifts up his hand, the cup comes with it. But you can see it's all off. So we want to go in here, and on this frame where he should be making contact, we'll just adjust the position a bit more. We'll move the rotation. Let's rotate there so we can rotate like that. It's rotating from the bottom of the cup, which isn't ideal. Okay, so that'll do for now. We just have to fix one more thing, and that's the start of this attach track. We just need to extend out using that same old method we've been using. And now it stays in his hand. If we play, the coffee cup comes with. So I'm just going to skirt this over just so the drink comes a little sooner. Perfect. Okay, now that's everything I wanted in this scene. We've imported, now we've done a lot. We've gone into Unreal Engine Marketplace and we've grabbed these windows. Using Mixamo and some third-party software, we've downloaded a completely new animation for our character, and we've learnt how to download more should we need it. And we've just used Quixel Bridge to bring in our coffee cup asset. So I'm going to take this time to file, save all, and in the next lesson, we're going to be going over how to add the camera, and we're going to also animate from daytime lighting to nighttime lighting. So let's see how we go.